We're talking about the original intent of those who ratified the Constitution of the United States of America. And we've been looking at several things that would require that we have an amendment, things that uh, constitutionally the federal government cannot do without an amendment being added. And the thing we want to look at today is the executive order. The President of the United States of America may do several things, and you can see those things in the Article 1, Section 7, in Article 2, the entire section, and in the 20th and in the 22nd Amendments. Some of the things that the President does is obviously he receives a compensation. He's to take an oath, of, which basically is to defend the Constitution against all enemies, foreign and domestic. He is the commander in chief when the military is called into service. In peacetime, that is not his position necessarily. It's only when the military is called into service. And he can require the opinion of the principal officers. He can grant pardons, okay, except in the case of impeachment. With the advice of the Senate, he can make treaties. 2/3 of the senators have to concur. He can nominate, with again the advice of the Senate, and appoint ambassadors, public ministers, counselors, judges, Supreme Court, and all officers of the United States. He has the power to fill vacancies that may happen during the recess of the Senate. He's to prepare and present a State of the Union. He's to recommend, or he may recommend for their consideration, such measures as he shall judge necessary and expedient to the Senate and the House. Again, that's just for their consideration. And on extraordinary occasions, he can convene both houses or either of them. And in the case of a disagreement between them, respective time of adjournment, he may adjourn them to the time he thinks proper. He may receive ambassadors and other public ministers. He shall take care that all laws are faithfully executed. The laws are made by the Congress, and they're the only ones who can make a law, and those laws are to be within the limits of the Declaration and restrictions set by the Constitution, set by the people who have vested the power in them. He shall commission all of the officers of the United States, and he can be removed from office on impeachment for the conviction of treason, bribery, and other high crimes and misdemeanors. Those are the things basically that the president can do. Congress can make certain selection if the president shall have died. The president shall not have been chosen within a time limit. He fails to qualify, then the vice president shall act, and the Congress can then move forward to get a president in. The Amendment 22 states that the president can't be elected more than 2 different terms. These are the things that the president may do. There's no point where the president can make an executive order in any way that affect the government, affect the people, affect the nation. It's not his job. You remember that in the ratification letters, we pulled out the statements concerning the 10th Amendment, put them into that great statement. And it says basically that every and all power, jurisdiction, and rights, not expressly, clearly, particularly, delegated and granted to the United States, which is the name of the federal government, and vested in the general government of the Union or the departments of the federal government by the Constitution or prohibited by it to the states remains to the people of the several states or the respective state governments to whom they may have granted the same. The president, okay, has powers. They're listed. That is what's declared for him to do. If you want him to function as a king or a emperor, then you need to make an amendment to the Constitution in which you clearly, particularly, expressly delegate the president the power to be a king or an emperor. Okay, the ability to make decisions. That belongs to the Congress because they're elected representatives, and they are to do it only where they have had declared and restricted powers. Hopefully this is helping.